And finally, I will talk about tennis. Tennis began in the 12th century in France and was called palm, which means palm of your hand, because the game was played by hitting the ball across the net with your hand. Later, the game was called jeu de paume because and that means game of palm or game of hand, and it introduced rackets. Later, the name changed to tennis after French players started the game by yelling tennis or play in French. The equipment needed is simple and can be found in most stores. Tennis balls, not very hard to find. They come in a pack of 3 and are usually pretty cheap, only a few dollars, and can be found in most stores like Walmart or Dick's or any sports store. The next piece of equipment is a racket. In earlier, around the 70s and 80s, a lot of rackets had a long shaft and a smaller head with the net in it. Today, most players use a shorter shaft but a larger head because this allows the player to have more success in hitting the ball and get greater topspin on the ball. I personally have a racket with a shorter shaft and a larger head for the same reason. The next and last piece of equipment you need are some good tennis shoes. A lot of people may think that normal tennis shoes would be fine, but in a competitive match, it is very easy to run your foot through your shoes, like I have multiple times. When you stop and go for a ball, your foot slides all the way to the end of your shoe, and if you don't have a hard enough toe on your shoe, then your foot may slide through or not. The rules of tennis are pretty simple, but they seem complex in the beginning, but after a few games, you get the hang of it. The way to start off a match is to first pick a side. What we do for Newcastle is we'll take our racket and we'll spin it on the ground, and the logo on the bottom of the shaft, that will say M or W if you choose a Wilson. I play with a Wilson. And then you let the opponent pick M or W, and whatever it lands on, that's who gets to pick the serve or the side of the match. So to start off, to serve, you serve to the opponent's side of the court and the serving box on the opponent's side. So the first serve will always be on the right side of the court towards the left side, or if you're receiving the serve, you'll be on the right side. It's a cross court, and what the serve box is a small rectangle on the side of your court, and you have to hit the ball in there for it to count as a serve. When hitting the ball must land in the court lines to count unless the opponent hits the ball in the air. There are 2 sets of court lines for singles and doubles. Doubles take up the full court, and singles will take up a smaller portion of the court, about 2 feet less than the doubles court. Score may seem pretty complicated, but in reality it's pretty easy to pick up on. The score is kept as love, 15, 30, 40, deuce, add in and add out. A deuce is a tie at 40 when both players have 40 points. Add in and add out. Add stands for advantage. Advantage in means that the server has the advantage, and add out means that the opponent has the advantage. Now I'll talk about some famous players that have played tennis. Bjorn Borg has 64 titles. He is a Swedish player and has a career record of 644 wins to only 135 losses. That is an 82.7% win rate. Jimmy Connors is an American tennis player who holds the record for most titles with 109, most matches played with 1,556, and most wins with 1,274 wins. And currently, one of the best players in the world is Roger Federer. He has 20 all-time Grand Slam wins, which is very impressive. A Grand Slam would be like the Australian Open, the US Open, or Wimbledon. Roger Federer is famous for winning at Wimbledon. In conclusion, today we have informed you about volleyball, baseball, and tennis. We have informed you about the history of the sports, how the games are played, and people that have gained fame from the sport. We hope that you share a love for sports or even one of our favorite sports. Thank you.